What's going on, Pixel Nation, and welcome to the 8th episode of Kiss Switch. In this episode we're going to be discussing the shotgun ammunition types and the shotguns themselves. The first ammunition type we're going to look at is the buckshot. This is the standard ammunition type for all shotguns and your default starting ammunition. It fires between 9 to 12 pellets depending on the shotgun, and has a cone-like spread, meaning that the further the target is away, the less chance all the pellets will hit. It's your standard shotgun ammunition. There's nothing special about it. Next up we have the flechette ammo. Now the flechette ammo is very similar to buckshot, except that it shoots tiny darts instead of little balls. Now the idea behind this in Battlefield 3 is that these darts are actually better at penetrating multiple targets. These rounds are great for penetrating through thin fences, metal sheeting and stuff like that. They have more penetration power. They're also great for taking out larger rooms of opponents because the penetration power can actually shoot through more people at the same time without much damage penalty. However, sometimes with buckshot you won't be able to shoot through multiple people. When it comes to damage, the flechette and buckshot do about the same damage. Technically the buckshot has a slightly higher damage potential, but to be quite honest, it doesn't really come down to very much difference in the end. Now, anybody who plays Bad Company 2 will be very familiar with the slug rounds. These were the business in Bad Company 2, however, they've got a bit of a change. Essentially a slug round is a very big bullet that's fired out of a shotgun. According to the Battlelog page, they are a fin stabilized sabot round, and essentially it's a ginormous bullet that's shot out of a shotgun. Now they travel rather slowly. They also have a large bullet drop. However, if you use them on the 870, they are a one-hit kill up close to the chest and not to the limbs. However, it's a one-hit headshot at any range. Now when it comes down to semi-automatic shotguns, don't even bother using the slugs on them. They're absolutely useless. Just use the 870. And now with the ability to put better sights on your gun, you might be able to get better results out of slugs. If you have a good shot with the slugs, you can be devastating. However, if you have a bad shot, you're going to get destroyed. As you can see, the semi-automatic nature or lower damage of semi-automatic shotguns with slugs makes them virtually useless. Next up we have the frag rounds. Now these got changed in the most recent patch to reduce their damage and to reduce their splash damage. Essentially the frag rounds are 12 gauge shotgun grenades. They shoot little tiny, essentially it's a little tiny grenade type thing at the enemy. Now when you're using these, they're best used, I find, in a semi-automatic shotgun. Before the patch, the USAS frag rounds was a very popular weapon due to the fact that the frag rounds have a very low damage, but the USAS or the MK3A1 could shoot a lot of them and counteract the low damage. I find the frag rounds very useful in some situations. Even though they are low damage, they are an incredibly suppressive round, which means that you can suppress your enemies, and with the recent patch, once they're very suppressed, one or two shots, they'll be fully suppressed and they won't be able to return fire because their accuracy will be so low. They may get lucky, but you can easily suppress somebody. It's very useful for dealing with annoying snipers such as this one here, and with a little careful aiming you can kill pretty much everyone and send them spectacularly flying through the air. However, the frag rounds, you'll go through a lot of them because it takes a good few to kill people. Also, the frag rounds can kill yourself, so you can accidentally blow yourself up, which is very easy to do, even though it doesn't seem that easily to do. They're also very good at destroying small things, boxes, crates, glass, pallets and stuff like that. They're not going to be blowing holes in walls, but they're still rather good for just general mayhem. Now let's move on to the first shotgun, the 870 Combat. Currently the only pump action shotgun in the game. The pump action time has been reduced significantly since Bad Company 2, and this shotgun is close to being semi-automatic. It has the highest damage, the tightest spread, and the longest one-hit kill range at the expense of the fire rate of the gun. Now, the shotgun is best, I find, with all rounds except the frags. The buckshot rounds, close range, very powerful. The flechette rounds are very good in close range as well, and are good for punching through multiple targets. The frag rounds I find to be nearly worthless on this, while the slugs are, if you've got the aim, the slugs really can deal the damage with this gun. However, you still need to be very accurate with this gun to be very effective with the slugs. If you want to be more effective, you could probably attach some sights, such as a red dot sight or some kind of holographic sight, maybe even a scope for using with the slugs. However, close range, pump action, buckshot mayhem is what this gun does best. Next up we have my favourite shotgun, the M1014. In my opinion, this is the fastest firing semi-automatic shotgun, followed by the Dow 12 and then the Seige. Now the M1014 can be, as I said, can be very rapidly fired. This makes it very effective at taking out small groups of enemies in very close range. The slugs on this are absolutely useless. The frag rounds, however, can be used effectively. However, the relatively small clip size, even with extended mags, can be a little bit of a hindrance sometimes. I would recommend just sticking to buckshot and flechette for the M1014. Next up we have the Seige 12K, which is the slowest firing semi-automatic shotgun. It also has the second largest magazine capacity of 11, 10 rounds plus one in the chamber. Now the Seige 12K is a slow firing shotgun, however it does have quite the punch. It feels like it has some of the highest damage. In reality, when it comes to differences in shotgun damage, there isn't really much difference in general or effectiveness difference in damage. Now the Seige 12K does have a disadvantage when compared to the M1014 in that it cannot be fired during a reload. Both the 870 and M1014, while reloading, so long as there's still one round in the chamber, you can reload those shotguns and then fire them while reloading if you get surprised, so you don't get caught with your pants down. However, the Seige cannot do this, and neither can the Dow 12, as far as I'm aware. This makes these guns a little more awkward to use sometimes. I find this shotgun to be very powerful and good with a punch. When it comes to ammunition types, the frag rounds are quite effective on this. However, I still prefer the buckshot or the flechette rounds. The slug rounds on this, as with all semi-automatic shotguns, are useless. It has the fastest reload time actually of all the semi-automatic shotguns due to its magazine. The last semi-automatic shotgun is the Dow 12, or sometimes known as the Striker in other games. Now this has the largest capacity of 12 rounds with extended mags, and it also packs quite a fast fire rate and a solid punch. The Dow 12 is great for taking on small groups of enemies, although it's not quite as good as the USAS in dealing with larger groups. Now, when it comes to the differences between the semi-auto shotguns, it really comes down to just picking your favourite. The Dow 12 doesn't have the ability to shoot while being reloaded. However, it is still a very useful shotgun. Overall, out of the 3 semi-automatic shotguns, I personally like the M1014, but it comes down to whatever you want, because all 3 shotguns are very similar with slightly different attributes, and they're all shotguns, which means they're all beastly. Now we have to talk about the USAS 12. Now, this gun received a lot of stick from the Battlefield community, and rightly so. The gun was very unusually balanced. However, since the recent patch, the gun's balance has fallen into line, and it now has a deliberate strength point that you have to use in order for this gun to be effective. At any sort of range where a shotgun would be stretched in its effectiveness, particularly you notice this if you use semi-automatics compared to this fully auto shotgun, you will notice that the USAS's one-hit kill range is incredibly short. In fact, I don't think this key even can do a one-hit kill anymore. If you want to kill people with this shotgun, you have to get in very close. Ideally, this is useful for shooting in one room. As you can see here, I'm shooting massive amounts of buckshot down on top of them in the street, and I wasn't even getting any sort of kills even after 3 or 4 hit markers. However, when you get into a small room with lots of enemies, this thing is a room clearing monster of a shotgun. This gun is, I don't believe it's overpowered anymore, but it's at the point where if you play the gun right and play it effectively, it can be an absolute monster. As you can see, I'm sticking mostly to indoor areas to prevent getting caught out outside. Here I do kill that guy, but it takes something like 6 or 7 shots to take him out. Play your cards right with this shotgun and you will do very well with it. For ammunition types, the frag rounds on this are useless due to the fact that they lower your fire rate. However, I found that with buckshot or fléchette, this thing was a beast. Now, when you use slug rounds, it was, to be quite honest, rather useless. It was impossible to use correctly, and as I said, it is designed for clearing out small areas. It's very much a no aim, vaguely point and shoot at the enemy directly in front of you. Even across one of these rooms here, it wouldn't be very effective, but right up in their face, you can tear people apart. Last up, we have the MK3A1. This shotgun was introduced in Back to Karkand expansion pack and was the first unlocked under the all weapons. This shotgun has the highest capacity of all the shotguns in Battlefield 3 with a whopping 12 plus 1 round in the chamber. Now, it does have a kind of annoying reload time, which is a little long, and it does have a cool sort of blue colour out of it when it's shooting, but it has lower damage potential in my opinion than the USAS. However, you know, play this gun right and it can be very effective. Use either your buckshot or your fléchette ammo, for as with the USAS, the slug rounds are pretty much useless and the frag rounds just are too slow and don't deal enough damage with this. This is another room clearing shotgun. It is brutally, punishingly terrible at any sort of range. However, in a small area, this thing is great for clearing out enemies. Except when the enemy keeps planting claymores on the stairs and camping at the top of buildings. But other than that, this thing can be an absolute beast. It's only a matter of playing your cards right. Now, as with all shotguns, they all have extended mags, and you shouldn't be using anything but extended mags, because maybe the flash suppressor, but to be quite honest, it's not going to help you out enough. You need to be just using the extended mags with all shotguns. I'd also recommend running them on the support class, because you're going to be burning through a lot of ammo, particularly with fully automatic shotguns or with semi-automatics with frag rounds. So get out there and cause some close range panic, because this has been Patrick. It's been good talk with the Pixel Nation, and I'll see you out there.